George is seen here working out just 3 days prior to his fight with Ted Gullick. But first, let's take a look at George working as a Job Corps instructor, teaching youngsters the finer points of boxing.
All right, so step in, slide, hold your hand up. Slide in, boom, slide out, boom, slide in, boom, slide to the side, boom, other side. Like so, all right, back. Don't bounce, you lose energy, let's go. So I put my left is right here, just closer to your head so I don't have to draw back. What good is it gonna do me to draw back and get it, right? It's right out here, so I shoot it from here, right here. No emotion, just go. Boom, 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 boom. Shoot it from there. The closer you get, the better for yourself. If it starts from right out here, just turn it. All right? Try that, come on.
In the latter half of 1970, George Foreman tore through opponents like a man possessed. Among his victims was Boone Kirkman, whom he knocked out in the second round. Kirkman became famous for breaking his collarbone 5 times in the early 1970s. It is the lightest bone in the body, you know. Foreman followed the Kirkman KO with quick knockouts of Mel Turnbow, Charlie Boston, and Stan Harris. On April 10, 1972, when Foreman stepped in against Ted Gullick at the Forum in Inglewood, California, he did so with an undefeated 34-0 record. Gullick, who was some 25 pounds lighter than the 221-pound Foreman, had turned pro in 1970 and compiled a record of 21-8-1. Some Foreman detractors pointed to fights like this as evidence that manager Dick Sadler was keeping his fighter away from the top heavyweights. So let's see how it goes as we check out George Foreman versus Ted Gullick, April 10th, 1972, from the Forum in Inglewood, California.
Foreman loosening up, testing the canvas just seconds before the opening bell. George Foreman comes out for round 1 in the red trunks. Ted Gullick is wearing black. Since turning professional 4 years ago, George Foreman has compiled a sensational record in the ring, having 34 victories in 34 bouts with 32 knockouts. Foreman is 22 years old, 5 years younger than Gullick. Foreman won the gold medal in the 1968 Olympic Games at Mexico City with a second-round knockout of Ioannis Chipolis, an experienced Russian heavyweight. Ted Gullick, with back to camera, like Foreman, began his ring career in 1969. Fighting out of the Ohio area, Gullick has compiled a record of 20 victories in 23 bouts, a fine record. Foreman loves to use that long left. George has crushing power with both hands. Ted Gullick surprising the crowd here in round 1. George likes to fight at long range where he can use that enormous power. The last fighter to go the entire distance with George Foreman was the tough Argentinian heavyweight Rogerio Peralta. In February of 1970, over 2 years ago, Peralta extended Foreman to the full 10-round distance, with George winning a hard-fought decision. It was young George's toughest fight as a professional. Gullick doesn't seem to be awed by the George Foreman reputation. Long ripping jabs by George Foreman. Gullick pressing forward, surprising everyone. Here at the end of round 1, Ted Gullick has held his own. And there's the bell, ending the round. Foreman comes out for round 2, looking to put the pressure on Ted Gullick, always trying to end it if he can. George puts them to sleep with either hand, as evidenced by his fantastic knockout percentage. Since his decision over Gregorio Peralta, Foreman has accumulated a record of 18 knockouts in a row. In a rematch with Peralta just last year, Foreman gained some measure of satisfaction by scoring a 10th round knockout over the tough Argentinian. Foreman ripping in punches here in round 2. Ted Gullick showing a lot of class against George Foreman. Among George's more impressive victories are knockouts over Chuck Wepner, George Chuvalo, Boone Kirkman, Gregorio Peralta, and Luis Perez. This is Foreman's 3rd bout this year. George KO'd Murphy Goodwin in Austin, Texas in February, and his last fight just 4 weeks ago, Foreman KO'd tough Clarence Boone in the 2nd round. Those punches by George have tremendous power behind them. Ted Gullick not taking any backward steps. Foreman pouring it on. Two jolting lefts, and Ted Gullick goes down. George Foreman goes to a neutral corner as the referee picks up the count. It doesn't look like Ted's going to make it. It's all over. George Foreman continues to add to his astonishing KO record with this devastating 2nd round knockout over a game Ted Gullick. George makes up for the lack of speed with tremendous punching power that seems to steamroller everyone he fights. It looks as if no one, not even smoking Joe Frazier, the heavyweight champion of the world, could be called a punching favorite over this Houston Avalanche, George Foreman. Here in slow motion, let's watch that action once again. A dynamite left hook by George. Followed by a good right to the jaw, which hurts Gullick. George pushes Gullick away. He wants to end it here and now. A torrid right which misses. A good left to the jaw. Another ripping left. A slight shove and Gullick goes down. George seems very pleased with another impressive performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. The winner on a knockout, 228 into round 2, still undefeated, George Foreman.